I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Rob Snow. I am the sponsor of my Mu Alpha Theta chapter at Deerfield Beach High, which is about 15 minutes north of Fort Lauderdale in South Florida. I have been a Mu Alpha Theta sponsor for 26 years. I have been the president of the State of Florida organization, Mu Alpha Theta, since 2011. And this is my first year as president of the national board of Mu Alpha Theta. So I'm having these meetings because in the state of Florida, it is crucial for the students to have a voice and to come together as a group to move forward their ideas, move forward their suggestions, move forward fundraising, move forward philosophy to grow and become better as a school, which is, I'm sure, all of your goals as well. You want your school to be a good Mu Alpha Theta chapter. You want to improve. You want to attend events. You want to compete. You want to do well. And so I'm here to answer questions on how to achieve that. Practicing, meetings, fundraising, community service, prepping for the local events, prepping for the state convention if you have one in your state, prepping for the national convention in Las Vegas next July. The next 3 national conventions that you can tell your members about. Next year in 2024, it's in Las Vegas. In 2025, it's in Orlando, Florida, and I'll be hosting that one. And in 2026, it's going to be in Frisco, Texas, which is about 15 minutes from Dallas. So it's very close to Dallas, Texas. Those are the next 3 locations. Those are in stone. Those are happening. Contracts have been signed. And so one thing you all need to do at your schools, if you really want to go to Vegas, Orlando, and Dallas, is fundraise. Because as you know, in the world, everything is more expensive. We have hotels to pay for. We have food to pay for. We have fun to pay for. We have flights to pay for. And so your role, one of your big roles at your school, is to raise money so that as many members can go from your school as you would like. And until the money is earned, that's tough to do at a lot of schools around the country. So fundraising is a huge aspect of your Mu Alpha Theta chapter. Of course, the math is key, but you can have the greatest math team in the world, but if you don't have the money to travel, then you're not going to show that to the outside world. Can you please talk about what type of fundraisers we can organize? That is based on the rules of your school and the rules of your school board in the community that you live. At my school, we have a concession stand after school where we sell candy and soda and chips and cookies and Gatorade. And we make more than enough money to support ourselves for all the events that we would like to do during the year, every year. So I purchase all the items, we sell the items, we make money from the items, we use the money to attend competitions throughout the year. Some schools don't allow you as a club to sell food during the school day. So the typical ones that students usually don't want to do, car washes, those wonderful fundraising booklets where you sell candles or you sell boxes of chocolate or you sell wrapping paper, that kind of thing. One fundraiser that I think is very productive in any community is the percentage of sales from a restaurant or fast food establishment. That is something that you can easily get your members involved in, and more importantly, your entire school involved in, because you as an organization don't just need Mu Alpha Theta people to show up. You want the whole world to show up to those food events. So you promote it to your entire school. You promote it to everybody you know in the community to come and support the Mu Alpha Theta chapter at Chipotle or at Chick-fil-A or wherever the restaurant is willing to give you part of their profits for you eating at that establishment that night. I think that's a very easy and productive way of making money. Of course, the restaurants need to be willing to do it, and you need to be promoting it 1,000,000% in your area so that people attend. We made $2,500 in a 4-hour period at Chipotle in April, just by people coming and eating Chipotle. So that, I think, is a huge one that is easy to do by going into the community, talking to restaurants who are willing to do it, and then promoting it actively at your school. Again, every school is different on their fundraising rules and what you can do and what you can't do. In my opinion, food is the easiest way to make money because everybody loves to eat. If you can sell things at school and make money for yourself, that's great. If you can't, the outside resources of the restaurants, I think is a good idea. Car washes are wonderful, but it's a lot of work and it's very hot, and some people don't donate like they used to. So it's a long day for not much money. Whereas with the restaurant idea, everything's just on you to get people there. The concession stand, if you can do it, if you can sell at sporting events, if you can sell at school, huge, easy way to make money. So every school has their own fundraising that makes it work every year for their school. Me is the concession stand. Other people have to do other things based on the rules of their school. So you need to find out the rules of your school and use them to your advantage if you can. One suggestion from sponsors at the meeting earlier this afternoon was sponsorship of companies locally to sponsor your Mu Alpha Theta chapter. Maybe they want their name on your t-shirt. Maybe they want the name in the program of your local event. Going out to local math companies, companies of any shape or size that are willing to sponsor your club for the school year and give you some financial support in exchange for advertising in some way for their company. So that's where you would have to, again, do the legwork, go into the community, see if any company is willing to do that. Certain parts of the country, lots of participation, lots of active companies willing to help. Other parts of the country, you go and they're flat out honest with you. They just say no, or they're not able to at this time. So I think those are the top ways of fundraising: is food in school, restaurants outside of school, and of course, sponsorships of companies if you can make that happen. Some schools in Florida, I know, especially in North Florida, they have a lot of community sponsorship from local food and other companies in their area. South Florida, it's very hard to get someone to sponsor you. So it depends on your community. But that should be an active thinking process for any of your chapters, is how to make the money for as many members to go as possible, because costs are only going to continue to go up. And as you know, some of your fellow students don't have the money in their family life to attend. And we would like everybody to come and participate if possible. That's where fundraising comes into play. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions or advice that you would like, please put it in the chat, so I can go question to question, because right now I'm caught up with the fundraising idea. Currently, my school has a very limited chapter, competes at only the school level. What state are you in? What state are you from? Florida. Okay, well, you need to talk to me, because we have 6 competitions from January to March. We have our state convention in April every single year. And again, the number one way that you can go on these events, to all of them if you want, is fundraising. But depending on where you live in Florida, you have the opportunity to go to at least 3 events on a school bus that are very close to your school. So what you need to do is email me, and I'm going to put my email in the chat. You need to email me so that I can get you the sponsor's guide that you can give to your sponsor. You need to sign up your sponsor needs to sign up your school at the national level to make sure the national organization recognizes your school as a Mu Alpha Theta school. And then you'll get to work on registering at the Florida level so that you can compete in local competitions, statewide competitions, the state convention in April, the national convention in Las Vegas. So our state has 8 opportunities per year for you to compete throughout the school year, every year in the state of Florida. So if you want to get past the school level, you need to get yourself as many dedicated math teachers as you can to help be the sponsor for you, to go on competitions on Saturdays with you to other schools, either via school bus or driving in cars. Now, if you raise a lot of money, you'll have the opportunity to go to the statewide events, which are only one in the entire state of Florida. So that one, you may need money for a hotel, money for a bus. You may not have that money to be able to go. But there are three, one in January, February, and March, that should be local to your area, maybe an hour bus ride away maximum, for you to attend a local event and compete against other schools in your part of Florida on the Mu Alpha Theta events. So you want to send me an email so I can get you the information so that you go to your school, talk to your good math teachers, because you know who they are, and see if they're interested in sponsoring a Mu Alpha Theta chapter where you're going to practice every week and you're going to come together as a group every week and you're going to fundraise to be able to go and compete at these events in the spring. Okay, the National Convention is a 5-day event. It begins on Sunday and you go home on Friday. So it's basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every year. Sunday, you arrive and we have an opening ceremony after dinner. Now, for some schools across the country, like for example, we're going to Las Vegas in July. My school is going 3 days early before the convention starts to be tourists in Las Vegas and to enjoy Las Vegas. Again, that comes down to fundraising. Some schools love to go and be tourists in the city before the math begins. Other schools are pure, it's a business trip. They come in on Sunday, they leave on Friday, they compete in the math, and it really doesn't matter what city the event is in. They're there to do just the math events. At my school, I've always been focused on having fun and enjoying the city and doing the math as well, but that requires fundraising to stay the extra hotel nights, to enjoy the food, to enjoy the tourist attractions of the city, in addition to competing with the math events. So a typical national convention for a typical Mu Alpha Theta student, you are taking 4 individual tests throughout the week. Every student takes 4 tests. Round 1, round 2, round 3 topic tests, which are specific math topics of your specific course that you're enrolled in. So specific algebra topics, specific geometry topics, specific pre-calculus topics. Then, of course, the 4th test is the individual test of your major subject area: Algebra 2, pre-calculus, calculus, statistics. There are team events throughout the week. You compete as a school, in inter-school. You compete with your Algebra 2 team or your calculus team at the team event. There are individual team events where you take kids from multiple math subjects, create a team. Your best calculus person, your best pre-calculus person, your best Algebra 2 person, they're a team. They compete against other schools who have those teams as well. There's a poster event. There are student-led activities. There is the excursion. This year, for example, in Vegas, the excursion for the convention, we're going to a show. We're going to a Cirque du Soleil show. In 2025, when it's in Orlando, the fun day is a day at the theme parks. You will choose any theme park you want to go to in Orlando. We will put you on a bus. You will go to that theme park. You will enjoy the theme park all day, and you will come home. In Frisco, Texas, the current plan for the fun day is to go to Six Flags near Frisco, Texas for the fun day. So 1 day is a day of fun, 3 days of math events, and then there's a lot of interaction with, of course, your fellow members from across the country to get to know each other outside of the math events that we have during the course of the week. So again, we open on Sunday, we compete Monday and Tuesday, we have fun on Wednesday, we compete on Thursday, and we go home Friday morning back across the country. That's a typical week of a national convention, mathematically. Let's see, what resources can we use to organize math practice sessions for each level? You've got 2 main options. Let me put them in the chat. One is the Florida website. Our Florida website, as you can see in the chat, is famat.org. If you go to resources at the top of the page, you will see Test Bank under resources. If you go to Test Bank and go to Doral Test Bank under that link, there will be boxes for you to choose things. And there are decades of practice tests in every subject area for you to download for free, for you to download the answers for free, so that you can see the difficulty, the problem structure, the entire thing. And you could download every single test that we've got for free, use them to practice in your divisions of math at your school with your fellow students. The other one is mualphatheta.org. That is the national, I got to spell it right, mualphatheta.org is the national website. It has all the national convention tests in the same way that FAMAT does its regular season and state tests. It has all the national tests for you to download for free and use for practice with the answers, with your school, to get you prepared for the difficulty level and pace of the national convention test you'll take in Vegas this coming year, Orlando in 2025, Dallas in 2026. Okay, I need to move up because I'm falling behind with the questions. Are there national conventions for schools in LA to attend? A national convention is exactly that. Any school that is a Mu Alpha Theta school in the United States can attend the national convention every summer. So we have schools from all across the country that attend. So you can certainly attend. You do have to pay for it, and it is expensive. That's why the fundraising is so crucial. Now, with you, oh, is that LA or is that Louisiana? For the national conventions in LA, is that Louisiana or is that Los Angeles? So Los Angeles. Okay. So for you, in being in Los Angeles, it's a long bus ride, probably 5-6 hours, but it's an option compared to flying to Vegas if it was a cheaper option to get there. But of course, you have to pay to get there. You have to pay for your hotel for the week. You have to pay for registration, which is mainly the food costs. Food is very expensive in today's world. And so most of your registration cost goes to the food you eat at the convention during the week. So you're paying registration for your food and for other things. You get a t-shirt, you get signed up for the test, you get to go to the Cirque du Soleil show, you pay for your hotel room, and you pay to get there by plane or bus or however you choose to transport yourself. So anyone in America whose school is a Mu Alpha Theta school can go to the national convention. The key factor for any school in America is fundraising to be able to get there. You have to have the money. You can have the greatest math students in the world, but if you don't have the resources to go, you're not going to go. So fundraising is crucial. Now, some schools have the ability to go every year with the fundraising they do. Some schools may not have that level of fundraising and may just be able to go every other year or every 3 years. Again, the reason I tell all of you Vegas, Orlando, and Dallas is for the schools who may only be able to go to one, you pick the one you want to go for. You reach that goal. You fundraise. You work hard. You attend. You have fun. What is the next question? What type of events do you think the club can host in regard to school events like Pi Day activities or similar to that? Pi Day activities, of course, are a big one because Pi Day is a very popular math day. The events that we have in Florida, again, are organized competitions on Saturdays. A lot of states across the country do not have the infrastructure that occurs in Florida for all of these events to happen in your particular state. As I told the sponsors earlier today, for states that aren't as active, the key is to start locally in your state. You know living in your state, the major cities of your state. You as a student need to reach out to your teachers, of course, to try to get the teachers to have local events in your county, in the surrounding counties of your state. Always start local. And then eventually over time, if you have the teachers who are dedicated, because of course you guys graduate every 4 years and we have to start over. You need to start locally. And again, you can use the tests that are provided at these two websites as tests for your events if you want, because no one in your state has taken them. So they're there for you to use. Start locally. Have an event at a school on a Saturday. Bring in schools from the local counties who want to attend and compete in Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calc, Calc, and Stat. But it requires a lot of work for the sponsors of your schools. It requires a lot of work for the students of the school who are hosting the event to get the rooms ready and get all the tests copied. And it's a lot of work to set up a math competition. So as far as events besides competitions at your school, that's up to you. There are a lot of statistics-led events through the AP Stat teachers around the country. Same with AP Calculus, and now that we have AP Pre-Calculus, there could be a lot of student and teacher-led activities at the local level. But what I would like to do in my short time as president at the national level is to get more competitions going locally in your states that don't have them already. And again, that requires you and your sponsors to communicate locally with the surrounding counties to come together at a particular school who wants to host, to create the tests, to have the event, and to build. Because you want to do more as students, I'm sure, than just the national convention every year. Again, in Florida, we have 8 events leading up to the national convention because we had dedicated teachers many years ago who created the infrastructure for the state of Florida. Basically, the George Washingtons and the Alexander Hamiltons of Florida created it, and I'm just moving it along. I'm just part of the process. It's very hard to create it from scratch, but that's where you have to start if you want to get involved in states that don't have as much events during the local year. You've got to start locally. And again, this is where your sponsors come into play. You're a student, you're an active student. You come to this meeting today, but you need to talk to your sponsors who are willing to go that extra mile. Other sponsors and other schools locally for you, willing to go that extra mile to come together to produce an event for you to compete in during the school year. But as far as local school events, that really comes down to your math department sponsors who are willing to work with you on planning the event, executing the event during the school day on a weekend. That comes down to planning and time on your part and on their part. Can you tell me more about the competition's events? My school's Mu Alpha Theta doesn't really compete and stays internal to our school. Cyrus, what state are you from? Sorry about that chat thing. I sent it to one particular person and not everybody, so I'm going to send it again to everybody. The 2 websites, famat.org and mualphatheta.org. As far as local events, as far as competition events, what a standard competition is schools go on a school bus usually to a school, compete against other schools on a Saturday in the class that they're in, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calc, Calc, Stat, in the morning. So you usually do an individual test, and then your 4 best kids in statistics compete against the other stat kids that are the best at their schools in the cafeteria on team questions, where you do parts together as a group and you turn in an answer as one team. Those results are graded while you guys go to lunch at a local mall. When you come back to from the local mall, you have the award ceremony for the kids who did the best that day in that location. After the award ceremony is over, you go home. That is a typical competition day during the regular season. Now, our state convention is 3 days. Because, of course, the entire state comes. It's the end of year event for the state. So it's a longer event where you miss some school. You compete mostly on Friday and Saturday, go home on Sunday for our state convention every year. The national convention, as I said, is a 5-day event in the summer, again, culminating the end of another school year. And so that's a much longer event because of the distance you're traveling and the amount of cost. We have it a longer event so that the money is worth the cost to you to attend the national convention. For current seniors, are they still allowed to go to the national convention? The answer is based on the rules of your school board. Most are yes. Some are no. You need to find out from your school. You need to find out from your school board if seniors who graduate are eligible to go to nationals. In South Florida, the answer is yes. Most of the kids who go are old. Most of the kids who go have graduated already. They compete in the summer, and then, of course, they're moving on to college or their career in the outside world. Some parts of the country do not allow graduated seniors to go because they're not officially students in the system anymore of the county they represented or the school board they represented. So you need to find out locally if you can attend, but most of the time the answer is yes. Is there an exact date for the National Convention in Orlando? Yes, it is. Let me bust out my phone so I can give you the accurate date in 2025, but it is in July of 2025. And it is the 6th through the 11th. July 6th through 11th, 2025 is Orlando. July 7th through 12th next year is Vegas. And let me check 2026 because it's June and July. June 28th through July 3rd, 2026 is Frisco, which is basically Dallas, Texas. Not Fresco, Frisco. So those are in stone because the contracts have been signed. Those are all the Sunday through Friday dates. Now, again, as a school, you can come in early and have fun. You can stay after the convention and have fun if you choose to, paying for the extra hotel stay. That, again, is your decisions. How would you promote fundraising events to make sure a good amount of students actually attend? Would flyers and posters be enough, or should more be done? You guys are all about social media. This generation is all about this. So you would use every social media outlet you can to promote it, along with flyers and posters. You would get your school involved. You would get your administration involved. You would get the community involved. You want to tell the entire world of this day, at this time, money is being raised for Army Alpha Theta chapter. You want everybody to go, not just students from the school, not just parents from the school. You want people from your community to go and support you. So it's not only getting it out locally, or locally at the school level or at the social media level. You want to put maybe a flyer into the local newspaper that gets delivered to people's homes in the community. And maybe they want to go and support the math club by eating at that location that night. So it's all about the legwork to get the word out as much as possible to everybody in the community to attend. Because the more people that go, the more money you raise. And that's an easy thing to do because you go out to the restaurants and talk to them. Some are going to say no, but some are going to say yes. And you keep doing the legwork and you keep promoting it in advance to give people time to know that that night they're going to that location to support you. It's the easiest way to make money because people get a good meal and you get the profits from that meal. Cyrus, you're from Florida. So yeah, a typical competition in Florida is as I described. You take an individual test in the math you're in. If you're good enough to be in the top 4 of your team, you compete in the team round in the cafeteria in the other hour. So half of the group does team, the other half of the group does individual, and then you rotate in the next round. So usually there's a round from 9:30 to 10:30, and there's a round from 11 to 12. And then at noon, you go to lunch at your mall, you come back, and you see if you won anything. After the awards, you go home. So there are 6 events in Florida. 3 of them are local, school bus to get there, shouldn't be more than an hour away from your school. For the one event locations this year, 2 of them are in South Florida in the Fort Lauderdale area, and the third one's in Tampa. So depending on where you live, one of those, or if you live in South Florida, 2 of them are local for you. If you live in Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. Tampa, of course, middle of the state. If you live in Central Florida, close to you. So if you don't live close to those places, then that's where the fundraising comes in for you have the potential to go, because you've got to pay for a charter bus and you have to pay for a hotel to get there to compete on that Saturday. Just an FYI, since it is National MAO, we can have students outside of the US, Germany, and Puerto Rico, to name a few. Yes, that is true. We've had schools from all over the world come to nationals if they choose to. When I hosted in Orlando in 2014, we did have a school from Germany come, and they had a great time. And their sponsor won Sponsor of the Year. It was a good event for them. Can you send your email, please? Yes, I can. It's right there. robsnow23@yahoo.com. I get about 50 emails a day from all peoples of Mu Alpha Theta, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And if I don't know the answer, then I will find out the answer as soon as I can, because contrary to popular belief, teachers do not know everything. I'm all caught up with questions at this point. Does anyone else have any questions out there in the student world? Again, right now, your schools are just getting started. Some of you have been in school a month. Some of you have been in school only a few weeks if you started after Labor Day. The key things that you need to do at this point in your Mu Alpha Theta chapter: recruit new members, freshmen, people who are older who may have math skills and they're not in your club yet. Fundraising, raising the money to go to events later in the year. Practicing after school. Some schools are lucky enough to have classes where they practice during the school day. Not many have that. So after school, of course, is your option for practicing. Again, using the website resources that I brought up, famat.org and mualphatheta.org for the tests. Again, all those tests are free. You download them, you print them, you copy them, you use them. That's what they're there for. Another aspect that some schools do, that's up to you as an individual school, community service, tutoring programs, community service outside of the school. At my school, we do Toys for Tots every Christmas. It's a big event that we take seriously to help children in our community, because I think giving back is something that's very important for young people to do. It's not just about the improvement of you and the improvement of your friends and the improvement of the school mathematically and to go and have fun and compete. It's about helping others as well. How often do you recommend teams meeting? That is up to you. It's let's put it this way. It's up to you as students, because you can certainly control meeting more often. It's also up to your sponsor, because your sponsor controls a lot in your life. Your teachers control a lot. But you as students have the ability to download these tests and work on them outside of school without the teacher involvement at all if you choose to. Some schools practice 1 day a week after school based on the math subject. At my school, it's 1 day a week, and we break it up into 3 days so that I don't have everybody at once. So I have geometry and algebra 2 on Mondays, pre-calc and calc on Tuesdays, stat on Wednesdays. Some schools practice a couple times a week. Some schools practice 3 or 4 times a week. It depends on the school and their structure and their focus and their philosophy. And how often do you recommend practicing how you structure practice? In the beginning of the year, I structure practice mainly with learning because for most subjects, they're just getting started. So they don't know anything yet. So one thing I do a lot in September, October is teach them skills they haven't seen yet because they're going to be on mu alpha theta tests, whether they like it or not, but they haven't learned it yet in the classroom. So they're going to learn it in advance so that they can get better at those skills to be better prepared for the tests in the spring when those topics come. Is there a timeline of what we should do and when? Yes, if you go to famat.org and then go to download resources, and then you go to downloads, one of the downloads is our test standards. And these test standards they're not universal for every single state in America, of course, but they show this is what you need to know for January events. This is what you need to know for February events. By March, you need to know basically the entire subject that you're competing in. So those standards are what we follow to write Florida competition tests for our students for the particular month that the event is in. How do I structure practice as the months go by? I usually give them previous tests. They take it in a simulated version of a competition. They have an hour, they work on it. I grade it. We talk about what they liked. We talk about what they don't like. And we move forward from there. But mostly in the fall, it's about skill building. And then in the spring, it's about, of course, competition difficulty and structure and time to get them used to 30 questions in 60 minutes. And you got to go fast without a calculator to get points to have a chance to win. So the timeline is the standards. Again, I always encourage going past the timeline. So doing February skills as soon as possible, doing March skills as soon as possible, so that they have exposure to those skills and can get better at them as the months progress up until the actual event when they take it January, February, March. Our school's chapter mainly attracts only the top skill level. How can we attract some people who might not have as much experience but enjoy math? How do we make sure they have an enjoyable time at meetings? That is up to you as far as the enjoyable time at meetings. For me, my practices are student run. My students see me enough Monday through Friday during the school day, and they usually wouldn't want to come if they don't enjoy math like the elite do and see me again. So the students usually lead the practices. So they see it from another student rather than from a teacher perspective. As far as what can you do to recruit them, one thing that I'm doing at my school, because again, the grades are not where we'd like them to be, offering a little bit of extra credit, but that requires the teacher to give the students the extra credit for attending. We get our members who aren't active elite members mainly through the orientations that we have at the beginning of the year, where we have tables all over the school for the clubs. And through their teachers, I am the math department head. So I promote mu alpha theta to every single one of my teachers of honors classes, IB classes, AP classes, to get them to come and see what it's like and see if they're interested. Every school has plenty of extracurricular activities. It's hard for students because most of you want to be involved in a variety of things. You don't want to just do math as your only extracurricular. Maybe you like Key Club. Maybe you like a foreign language club, a science club, debate, sports. There's tons of opportunities for you. And so you maybe want to spread yourself around. I have no problem with that. So as far as getting math people, it's up to you to use those orientations in the beginning of the year and use your math department teachers to promote the club from the classroom, because they're the ones who see the kids every day and can encourage the kids they know have skills. Oh, why aren't you in mu alpha theta? It's all about math competitions. You're very good at math. I think it would be something you would be interested in. Go to this meeting on this day, see what it's like, give it a shot. Because another factor for the kids who aren't math elite, friends of friends. I get a lot of my members from friends who are elite, from friends who are interested. They bring their friends along because that's my philosophy at Deerfield. We don't win a lot of awards most of the time. So we have fun. We improve and we have fun. And that's how you get more membership in. If you're just focused on winning, then yes, only the elite people at the school are going to want to go because they're the only ones who have a chance to win. You want to grow your club, you basically need to open the door to math students of all shapes and sizes who want to do it, want to improve, want to compete, want to have fun with their friends. Do you have any suggestions for fun meetings? Don't have meetings. I never have meetings. I have one meeting at the beginning of the year to set up the practice schedule. We practice every week as the year goes on. There's a math event in October to get the Florida season off to a good start. I have a party at my house where everybody comes together. We have good food. We have good conversation. We have fun. We focus on the math a little bit, but it's mainly just to get together. So I would suggest get-togethers, if possible, through the sponsor or through a student willing to give up their home. Get-togethers outside of school for new people to get to know the veterans, for the veterans to get to know the new people. Because when you're practicing math, you're in it. You're doing math. You don't want to socialize during that. You want to focus. So the outside activities for your fun meetings, that's something to think about. Something fun on a weekend, coming together as a group. Not talking about math necessarily, just getting to know each other better to gather that teamwork and that team focus moving you out throughout the year. And that's what you said, some sort of theme or activity. So your theme or activity could just be, I mean, when we have the math event, we're having it at the end of October, happens usually around Halloween. We just usually come together and have good food and good conversation and football outside. And it's just usually a fun day to get to be kids and not focus on the math so much. We do focus on the math a little bit because there is a math contest that week that we take seriously. But the overall point of the day is just to enjoy each other's company as a group. What is a good activity to do for Pi Day? Nailing teachers in the face with pies. Nailing your principal in the face with pies. That is a wonderful Pi Day activity. Now, of course, you want it to be whipped cream. You don't want it to be a real pie because you don't want to injure anybody. But usually the administration, if you ask in advance, they're usually up for it. That's a good fundraiser. Students have the opportunity to pie people. You get some popular teachers at your school, you're going to have a lot of kids that want to enjoy themselves with a whipped cream pie with some of those people. You got to have teachers who are willing to enjoy it. Got to have administrators who are willing to enjoy it. That's definitely
Hold
a
on,
Pi
man, I'm
Day
in a
event.
meeting.
Yes, Rogerlyn, you're in a meeting, so put yourself
Sorry.
on mute. So that's one thing. Pies, money, everybody loves it. Gotta get the people willing to do it though. I do it every year. Trust me when I tell you a lot of money is made because I'm a very popular person. A lot of people like putting whipped cream in my face on that day. There are other Pi Day activities like bake sale, basically. That's a huge one, of course, because of the pie factor. What I would do, honestly, is Google Pi Day activities. We have the whipped cream contest. I mean, that's more than enough for me. Keep it simple for me. Whipped cream, pie tins, willing participants, money is made, everybody's happy, everybody enjoys it. What else do we have here? Can I send a link? Yes, I can send a link if I can get my internet working. I can send a link. Let's see, resources, test bank. So I'm going to send you a link for the test bank. So that one That one was the FAMAT test bank. And now let me get you the link for the standards. Resources, downloads. So copy. And this is the link where the standards are for tests and other important documents to look over. I am not familiar. Okay, sent the link. Oh, Jesse did it for me. Beat me to the punch. Jesse's our student delegate president, everybody, for the state of Florida and also for the national organization. So he's going to be the one leading the meetings in 2024 for the Vegas convention. Is there one for Virginia? Not to my knowledge, there's not one for Virginia. A sponsor from Virginia had similar questions. And so what I suggest is to start locally in the major cities of Virginia by reaching out to your sponsor. Sponsor reaches out to other sponsors in the Virginia areas to come together and produce a local event, possibly. Again, using the test from famout.org is great because the students in Virginia haven't seen them. The tests are ready to go. It's simply a matter of having a building to host the event and dedicated sponsors to run the event that day in Virginia. North Carolina, again, same boat as Virginia. What you need to do, and I suggested this to the sponsors as well, for the out of Florida areas, Alabama, there are some other active states. If your state's not active, have your sponsor reach out to the national office. The national office can send them the Virginia schools that are participating, the North Carolina schools that are participating. And then that gives you an opportunity to know who active Nu Alpha Theta schools are, for you to reach out to them. Can we come together and have a local event? Can we plan to have a local event? I think that's how you get the ball rolling. Find out who is participating in your state. See how many are local to your area of North Carolina or Virginia. Get the ball rolling slowly. If there aren't a lot of schools in your area, then talk to your county and the surrounding counties that are close to your county to perhaps have a local event in North Carolina, a local event in Virginia, just to get the ball rolling. In the first year, it's going to be small, but over time, if you do it year after year consistently, it will grow. And then if you can grow it to other major parts of Virginia and North Carolina, then you can slowly come together as a state to have an overall state event. But that takes a long time. And that's the problem for you guys. You're only here 4 years. You've got other priorities besides organizing math events. You need to go to your teachers at your school and find dedicated sponsors and teachers who are willing to go the extra mile to help you, to support you, and to produce these events for you to happen in your local areas. And that's a lot of work and time. And it takes a long time to get there. That's just the reality of anything from scratch. It takes a long time to get to a perfect situation where every year you do the same thing. It's just a matter of putting the plan in action, but it's got to start somewhere. And it's up to small groups of dedicated people, students and sponsors, to make it happen and move it forward, depending on what you want to do. Is there one for Texas? Is there one for New Jersey? Again, Texas is more active. Texas is more active lately. New Jersey, I'm not aware of one. So again, your sponsor reaching out to the national office, what schools are active in Texas, to get that information to your sponsor to, again, try and create a community locally in Texas. Because I know Texas, of course, geography, Texas is a humongous state. But the opportunity to create something in Houston, in San Antonio, in Dallas, with those large areas. You can have a Houston event. You can have a San Antonio, a Dallas event. Start locally and then communicate with other major cities in Texas to slowly over time build up in your state. Okay, we're doing fine. 10 to 5. I've run out of stuff from the chats. So, main focus for you guys in the next month or two: recruitment, practicing, fundraising, community service if you'd like to. But the number one, in my opinion, for any school is fundraising. Making the money to do the things you would like to do. Because without the funds, it's very hard to attempt, obviously. Now, the national convention and the national office for new schools, because there's a lot of new schools in this chat. There's a lot of new schools in this chat. There is a grant program for 3 students and 1 sponsor who have never been to a national convention before to attend the Las Vegas convention for a discounted price to see what it's like to compete, to enjoy the week, and then go back to your school, tell your other members what it was like, build up enthusiasm, build up fundraising, and then have a bigger group go to Orlando and an even bigger group go to Dallas if you're able to. So, mualphatheta.org, ladies and gentlemen, check out the grants and the opportunities for you to get money for your school, to go to the national convention, to perhaps go to a local event. There's a lot of support at mualphatheta.org that you need to let your sponsors know about so they can fill out the applications and get support from the national office to help you at the local school level. Because we want participation. I want us to grow. I'm happy that we're seeing a lot of major states here that we haven't seen a lot of participation from in the past. The only way it happens is slowly over time. My chapter, when I started as a teacher my first year, we only had 12 people. Now we annually have 100 to 125, but it doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process. You build a tradition, you pass it on to the next generation of students, they keep it going, and then you have yourself a program, a philosophy at your school. But it has to happen somewhere, and you can be part of that beginning to get it going, because every school started somewhere, and you can do the same. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Anything else? Okay. I'd like to thank you all for coming. For those of you who are interested in coming next month to ask questions or see what I have to say, it's going to be October 14th. And it's again going to be at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And the Zoom information will be sent out to your sponsors just like this was. I thank you all for coming and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I hope to see you in October and in Vegas next July. Thank you.